FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
Welcome. You are listening to the Financial Survival Network, and it's a beautiful fall day in upstate New York. The leaves are turning. I was in Boston over the weekend, and there's no fall like a New England, upstate New York fall. The colors and just the crisp, clean air. Well, we could use some crisp, clean air around the economy and around our political system, but we're just not going to get it. Well, hey, as always, we want your opinion. We want to hear from you. Email us kl@kerrylutz.com. Our good friend Gerald Celente is with us now. And Gerald, well, we've been talking to you for years already. So much of what you predicted has come to pass. And, you know, the craziness, it just gets crazier and crazier. Where are we heading now?
Oh, well, as I said, we're heading toward the Greatest Depression. And I believe it's going to happen in 2021 because they're going to, the monetary methadone that the banksters are pushing into the system around the world with their negative and zero interest rate policy and lowering them to historical lows around the world, they're going to run out of it at some point. And you can see already, you know, what's going on with the U.S. economy and how the central banksters, you know, the New York Fed flooded, you know, temporary liquidity into to the tune of $104 billion in just a couple of days, you know, and the Fed's buying up $60 billion worth of Treasury bills each month for at least 6 months, and they're not calling it quantitative easing. So, you know, this whole thing is nothing more than one big scam.
Mm-hmm. Well, we've known it's been a scam for a while, but we're kind of coming to the end here. We're seeing increased social unrest around the globe in probably a dozen countries. It's probably going to spread from there, isn't it?
Well, you know, if you, you know, the Trends Journal, our magazine, when I began it in 1991, it was a quarterly, and then we turned it into a monthly, and now it's a weekly. Mm-hmm. So now, for example, in just this week's geopolitical roundup, Spain, Hong Kong, Lebanon, Guinea, Chile, Haiti, Tunisia, chaos in Kashmir, one after another. And when you look at most of these, it's anti-establishment. They're all anti-establishment. But the other one is the rich are getting richer and everybody else is getting poorer. And they're sick and tired of the very few having everything and most everybody else having nothing. So this is only going to escalate as the Greatest Depression increases and more people lose their jobs, lose their homes, lose their businesses, and you're going to see more and more demonstrations. So here's what's going to happen. More dictatorships and more police states to counter it.
Mm-hmm. So more dictatorships and more police states. We see this all over the place in technology. You know, I've seen so many references recently to Orwell's novel 1984, and from that book, you start to believe that Orwell was an optimist.
Yeah, you're right. You know, all these people, they talk about climate change. Take it easy. You'll be dead before the climate changes. All the poisons they're throwing in our food and the chemicals on our food and the water and in the air and in the earth. They're chemicaling us to death. You know, you're worried about climate change? And then what they're going to kill us with all these wars that they're starting. And now Kashmir and India going at it again. Oh, great. Oh, that'll be wonderful. 2 nuclear powers. Oh, it'll be just beautiful. And then the United States with its policies against Iran and against Venezuela. And as I mentioned, look what's going on in Chile. Take a trip down to Ecuador. Hey, how about Bolivia? Oh, they're taking the streets there too? No. How about Colombia? One place after another right in our backyard. Then you go to Angola, take a trip to Niger. How about Nigeria? What about Sudan? How about Somalia? Guinea, I just mentioned. You know, one after another around the world. And Lebanon, and in the Middle East, whether it's Yemen, whether it's Iraq, whether it's Syria, Turkey, name the place, there's destabilization only going to increase.
Mm-hmm. Destabilization. And is there anything that can be done?
Yeah. The mentality has to change. And that's why I believe that peace is the only way out. Mm-hmm. And I don't say that in empty words. I launched Occupy Peace, occupypeace.com. And I'll give you an example. Here, we, the moronic, stupid, ignorant, dumb people of the United States have military bases, 800 of them in over 80 countries with over 200,000 troops. Look at the money we're wasting. Look at the people we're killing. Look at the fear and terror that we're escalating. And then I got a little piece of garbage crap like that arrogant boy, Buttigieg, dressed up in his military jag, showing off what a tough guy he is over there in Afghanistan as he drove generals around. Military naval intelligence. How about that for an oxymoron? Harvard, Princeton, Yale, bullets, bombs, and banks, Rhodes Scholar front. That's all that guy is, telling us how we have to be in the Middle East. Mm-hmm. Who the hell is he? Hey, Buttigieg, pack up your crap and go back to the Middle East. Mm-hmm. Everybody that wants to be there, go there. You have no business being there. You are illegally in these countries, craphead, garbage mind. You're illegally there. Could you swallow that crap? Because, man, you like to spit it out, so you must be swallowing it all the time. Yeah. Where's this country going? We need peace. I'm a warrior for the Prince of Peace. I'll fight for peace. I won't die for war. With peace comes beauty. With peace comes joy. With peace comes liberty and love. With war, you morons out there, comes terror and fear and the deepest, deepest elements of the darkest, hellish Satanism that war brings with it. You like killing 1 million people in Iraq, destroying the place? Or maybe you liked Libya better, Buttigieg, Clinton, and all your other murderers out there.
Yeah, well, so is peace going to break out? Are we going to see this spontaneous elevation of human consciousness? Or are we going to have to see a major purging and bloodbath before it happens?
No, if a major bloodbath happens, it will never happen. It's up to us to make it happen. And again, if we had the more money to do it, we can make more of a change with Occupy Peace. Mm-hmm. We need the money to make it happen. You can't run a campaign without money. And very few people want to support peace. Mm. Where are the big peace movements going on? Here, Mr. Lutz, do I have to give you any more data than the fact that the House Democrats unanimously voted to condemn Trump's withdrawal of troops from Syria? Unanimously.
Yeah.
And then when you put the vote was, and then the Republicans, when you put them into it, the vote was 354 to 60.
Yeah.
All right.
I know.
And then you talk to people. I'm 15 minutes away from Kingston, New York, 15 minutes away from Woodstock. All these liberals with their quiche-eating grin and their balsamic smiles, all these very educated people. Oh, it's terrible that we deserted the Kurds. Like they knew what the hell's going on over there. Kurds in way, maybe. Hey, how about Yemen? You like that one? What's a Yemen? We're illegally there. Mm-hmm. And the Kurds are nothing more than we hired them as mercenaries to get rid of Assad. They've been fighting this battle with them for how many years?
Yeah. Long time. A long time. Yeah. So.
And we're going to fix it. You can't drink the damn water in this country. Hey, go to Flint. How about Newark? How about most of the places around the country with the poisoned water, rotted streets, breaking infrastructure? And we're going to fix what's going on over there, and you got these morons telling you that. So anyway, Kerry, without peace, I can't see prosperity happening, and I can't see a higher level of humanity evolving.
You know, one thing, Gerald, the most profitable business in the world, especially for large corporations, is war. They make more money through war than anything else. I mean, I used to be cynical about it, and I didn't think anyone in their right mind really wants a war. But when you see the profits of the war contractors, the banks, everybody cashes in on war except for the people who have to go fight it and get maimed and killed doing it. So we're up against a huge force, and it's global in nature. It's not just the United States. It's all over the world now. How do we...
It's not a huge force. That's the thing. When you look at their numbers, they're small.
True.
When you look at their power, they're big.
Exactly.
But when you look at their numbers, they're small. Look what's going on in places like Hong Kong. Well, they got 7.4 million people there. 2 million of them take to the streets.
That's amazing.
In America, you got 27 million people. You're lucky to get 1 million out. It's a big deal. They put on pig pussy hats. They go out 1 million people one day, a couple of years ago. Oh, it's big news. There's no fight. There's no fight for peace. There's no fight for individuality. There's no fight for true justice. There's no fight in this country. No bullying zones. Don't learn how to fight.
Yeah. That is very true. That this feminization of the male psyche. So
you got it.
Hey, Hong Kong. So I find it remarkable that China hasn't gone full-born Tiananmen Square, that they're afraid of these people and they keep backing off and backing off. Can the people in Hong Kong actually win? And one thing that's not known that I've read, haven't been able to verify, but it makes sense, is a lot of people from China are flooding in to Hong Kong to join in these demonstrations because they can't do it in China, but they're getting away with it in Hong Kong.
FSN Radio. It's all about what's next.
Silver One Resources is an exploration and development company backed by strategic investors Eric Sprott and SSR Mining. The company is focused on its Candelaria mine project in Nevada, where there is already a historic resource estimated at 127 million ounces of silver. The Candelaria mine historically was the highest grade silver producer in Nevada, generating over 68 million ounces of silver at an amazing average production rate of over 1,250 grams per ton. The project has tremendous expansion potential as past drilling has outlined deeper, high-grade silver targets for future drill programs. Silver One is highly leveraged to the price of silver and is cashed up and poised to increase shareholder value. Silver One trades in New York under the ticker SLVRF and in Toronto under the ticker SVE. To learn more, go to silverone.com. That's silverone.com.
The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
On that note, China's biggest fear is its people. There used to be reports that came out yearly, up until about 5 years ago, of how many protests happen in China each year. That's 1.4 billion people there.
I remember.
There were about 30,000 major protests a year. Anti-establishment, people not making money, fighting against the pollution, on and on. 30,000 a year. So what you just said about a lot of Chinese people going over there to join, I would probably say that's probably true, because it's a dictatorship. And just to stare in this 1 second, think of the hypocrisy of the murderous, sick minds that run our country. How in Vietnam, I'm Vietnam War era, and I beat the draft. I was too stupid to be against the war, but I couldn't imagine me in a foreign country getting shot at. I mean, I'm only 5'7" and a half, about 135 pounds, with 50 pounds of weight on my back, walking through water with a gun over my head and getting shot at. Didn't make sense to me, so I did everything I could to avoid the draft, to make it clear. So if anybody wants to call me a draft dodger, yes, I was. I wasn't stupid enough to be against the illegal lying war that they got us into. But if you like that they lied us into war and we killed over 4 million innocent Vietnamese and poisoned the country with Agent Orange and other poisons and destroyed it, that's your trip. So going on, they're commies, those lousy commies. If we don't stop them, those dominoes are going to keep falling and they're going to hit the shores of California. Now the United States increased trade with Vietnam, still a communist country, by 31% last year. China, a communist country. Oh, those dirty commies, hate those commies. Yeah, but if we could get our stuff made by commies and it costs a little bit of money and we could make a lot of money for getting our stuff made cheaply, bringing it back here, my name is Levi, Nike, Apple, and all the others, then it's okay.
Yeah.
It's fine.
So globalization. So on the one hand, we look at nationalization, and that's caused a lot of bad things, a lot of wars over time. On the other hand, this globalization has been kind of misused. Yes, we're all one family, we're all humankind, but the way the globalists have perverted it has turned it into fighting against each other and dividing us because, like you say, there just aren't that many of them. So it's been going on since the Middle Ages. Keep them false flag events, keep them fighting against each other so they don't really see who the real enemy is.
You got it. You got it. And the other thing, too, you asked about China. How come they're not, wiping them out? Because China's concerned about, more than anything, Hong Kong's stature as the banking center for Asia. I mean, that's it. And now you're seeing money leaving Hong Kong, going into Shanghai. And they're concerned that the major banks are going to start pulling out. So that's why they're easing up on this thing, which they should have done a long time ago and quelled it, because they don't want to lose their position as China being the major banking center of Asia.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of money flowing out of there, getting the heck out. And this was so predictable. You've mentioned it a lot in the past. The money just flooding out. You look at Vancouver, LA, New York, San Francisco. I always say that the U.S. dollar is the Taj Mahal of Baltimore.
Oh, funny. Yeah, no, again, the dollar is strong because the other ones are all so weak. And again, we have all the data in the Trends Journal about how this thing is being so artificially pumped up. But even so, with all the artificial money flowing into our economy, when you look at the problems of what's going on around the world, and speaking of China, their GDP numbers came out, and it's the slowest growth in 30 years?
Yeah, 27 years.
But even at that, even with it slowing down at 6%, GDP growth, that's pretty strong.
If it's real.
Really.
Yeah.
We're lucky to get 2.5 this year, right? Out of the United States. Mm-hmm. And by the way, the International International Monetary Fund, they call a recession when global growth slows to 2.5% a year.
Mm-hmm.
So you got China at 6%, but going back to China and the problems that they have, and going back to the dollar and why the dollar is so strong, they are not, in our estimate, devaluing their yuan purposely.
Right.
It's going down because their economy is going down, and they don't want it to go down because there's $18 trillion debt load, dollar-based
US
from
dollar.
China.
That's right.
So the weaker the yuan goes, the higher the cost of servicing the debt.
And the higher the cost of living goes there, because everything that they have in China is imported, the raw materials. There are some raw materials they produce there, like rare earths, like they're the largest gold producer, but everything else around the world gets more expensive to them.
You got it. You nailed it.
Yeah.
So it's that's why the dollar is strong. And interestingly also, Kerry, is that even with the dollar staying strong, so too is gold.
Mm.
We're looking at dollar at a March 2017 high.
Yeah.
In that range.
Mm-hmm.
And gold prices are still staying up even though the dollar's strong, which is anathema because it's usually the other way around. And the stronger the dollar gets, the lower prices gold goes, because there's an opportunity cost in holding gold. And of course, the commodity's dollar based, so it's more expensive. So to buy if your currencies are going down, the dollar's getting stronger. So that's very important.
It's a disaster for them, sure. It's the last thing they want, and they're not really equipped to deal with it when you get down to it. They really aren't ready for this.
No, we're going into again, when you're looking at this global unrest, it's a sign of the global greatest depression. It's in front of everybody's eyes. And again, we outlined it in detail in the Trends Journal, which has gone again from a monthly to a weekly.
Mm.
Because we have to stay on top of these events that are transpiring so dramatically. And again, the more protests go, the greater the crackdowns will be, the more censorship that we're going to get, and the more militarized nations will become.
No, I could not agree with you more. You've really summed it up better than just about anyone I've seen. And so what we need to know here is how do we protect ourselves? Gold, silver, but communities. How do we build communities?
One of the things that I really believe in is direct democracy. That's the cover of the Trends Journal, actually, this current edition. And it's the global direct democracy, the global game changer. Let the people vote. We got to get rid of this corrupt systems of gangs running governments that morons and imbeciles call Democrats and Republicans. They're nothing more than gangsters, murderers, and thieves. And they're paid off by their corporate whoremasters to do what they're told. So direct democracy in this age of high technology, if we could transfer trillions of dollars in milliseconds around the globe, we could vote online. And it's BS that we can't. And I don't want to hear another word from anybody saying how it could be hacked, considering were they still counting votes in the 2016 midterm elections? What a farce. What a stupid farce this is. So with direct democracy, you want to go to war, let the people vote. Locally, you want to give tax breaks to this big corporation that wants to develop something there, let the people vote. You want to give raises. By the way, I don't believe in public servants having the right to strike. We're paying their wages. I'm all in favor of private people striking, but not public employees. We're paying them. So you want to have them strike, let the people vote.
Right.
So
Agreed.
that's, to me, is the only answer is direct democracy, because we have just a corrupt political system of murderers and thieves, Bloods and Crips, Repulsivekins and Democrats.
Yeah, well, it's a sad state of affairs, but look, I think humanity's been at this point numerous times in the past. Sometimes it's gotten worse. Other times it's improved. And I think optimism is the key.
I agree. And courage.
Yeah.
Courage.
The two go hand in hand. I don't think someone who isn't an optimist really can possess courage, because optimism means believing that things are going to get better in the face of overwhelming evidence and proof that they won't. And
doing your part to make it happen.
Yeah. Yeah. So, well, we need to get the word out, Gerald, because this is too important. And now that we see all these countries blowing up, it's just a portent of things to come. And of course, it'll come here at some point. Arguably, it might have started already with this political violence, but it potentially could get a lot worse. I've repeated your quote so many times to so many people, Gerald. When people lose everything, they lose it. And that is exactly what is taking place now. And until we put a stop to it, it's just going to continue. And that's what they want.
Yeah, they want the more they could crack down, the happier they are, because the more they can get away with.
Yeah. Yep. Totally agree. Well, hey, that's why you got to go to trendsjournal.com, get a subscription, follow Gerald's work. It's more relevant now, more important than ever now, Gerald, than before. We'll have a link to Gerald's site in the show notes of this interview. As always, send us an email. What do you think about what Gerald is saying? How do we all band together and make this thing better and get us out of this pit that the elites have put us in? And don't forget, Twitter feed at Kerry Lutz, Facebook page, Financial Survival Network. Come to the site, financialsurvivalnetwork.com. Sign up for a newsletter. Gerald, I can't thank you enough for coming on, giving us your message of reality and hope.
Well, thank you. And remember, it does not take a majority to prevail, but rather an irate, tireless minority keen on setting brush fires of freedom in the minds of men and women. Samuel Adams.
Hey, and one man with courage is a majority, right?
Andrew Jackson.
Yeah, never forget it. So when things seem they can't,
that's right,
you got to dig in and just do what you need to do. Gerald, we'll talk to you again real soon. Thanks so much.
And thank you for all that you do, Kerry. Let's much appreciate being on with you.
FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.